Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. I bet you thought I wasn't going to make any more of these, didn't ya? Didn't ya? Admit it. But I'm back. You know I'll always be back with some Kerbal. Even if I go and play a bunch of other games, I'll always give you guys some Kerbal every once in a while, just to keep you satiated. So I went ahead and constructed this monstrosity here, which I've named the Eve probe, because I still have not figured out how to actually get a manned crew to the surface of Eve and lift off again. No idea how it's done. I'll have to watch a couple of videos, read up on it. I know it's probably very complicated, or maybe it's fairly simple. I have no idea because I've only ever attempted it once and it was a colossal failure, so I never did it again. Maybe someday. But what I've constructed here is two different probes, and I mashed them all together with a couple Clampetron seniors. So the top probe that you see here, basically from here down to here, is a lander probe that is actually going to go down to the surface of Eve and collect some data, which is useless for me because I'm playing in sandbox mode, but if you guys are playing in career mode, this would be very scientific. What it basically has is it's got the different parts, the seismometer and the gravioli and the temperature scanner. On the other side we've got the barometric scanner, and it's got this new surface scanning module, which apparently shows you, some of the surface features like the ores and stuff. Apparently it's fairly useful. What it also has is a set of solar panels, these big batteries right here with 4,000 charge, because why not? It's driven by the RCL01 remote guidance unit. It's got an SAS. It's got this little tank of fuel, which is probably way too much for landing on Eve, and it's got just a set of outer tanks as well. Again, probably way too much for Eve, since Eve's atmosphere is so thick you could just use parachutes. But whatever. You know me, I like to go big or go home. I like to do a colossal waste of fuel as much as possible. So what I have here is a set of drogue chutes that are going to deploy when I hit 2, with a set of main chutes that are going to deploy when I hit button 3. That's going to help the probe get down to the surface. I have a way of transmitting data back, as well as some RCS fuel and RCS thrusters. On top, for aerodynamics, I've strapped on here one of these little nose cones with one of these, what do you call them, stack separators that I'm going to eject when I hit the button 0, exposing the Clampetron Senior. That's going to connect to the bottom of the Kermes command module. Now, attached to that on the bottom, I have an Eve orbiter, which starts here and goes on down, which is essentially the same thing as the Eve lander, except I only have 2 engines this time, and I've stuck on the side quite asymmetrically here one of these big orbital scanners. It's supposed to go into a polar orbit around Eve, and it's going to be able to basically scan the surface for any ores, which is kind of dumb if you're going to Eve. I don't know. I don't know if I'm totally mistaken, but I don't know anyone who would want to mine Eve because the gravity well is so huge it's nearly impossible to escape. Mining on Eve just seems like a terrible idea, but I couldn't just go there for nothing. So I mean, why not? We're gonna establish a little orbit probe and a lander probe just to kind of probe it out, right? That's what you gotta probe it out. I don't know, maybe someday technology will advance enough to be able to harvest the ores from Eve. If anyone else has actually accomplished that, give yourselves a pat on the back. It's probably not easy. But again, it's got a similar setup: RCS, SAS, guidance unit, bit of fuel, transmitter, solar panels, and a big-ass battery. And this is going to basically take the place of our lander. If you remember our Kermes mission, we had a lander section for the middle when we landed on Duna, but now it's just going to be a couple probes that go down to the surface. And this all sits on top of a bunch of orange tanks with some giant boosters that are probably way overpowered. So this thing is definitely overpowered in every sense of the word, but that's the Hot Jupiter way, that's the Kerbal way. So we're going to launch this up to the Kermes. We're going to rendezvous with it. I've already tested out the survey scanner in orbit around Kerbin. It's pretty neat, actually. You just kind of, I think it needs to be at a polar orbit and at a certain altitude. I'm sure it tells you somewhere on here. Let's take a look. Minimum altitude 25,000 meters, max altitude 1,500,000 meters. So you can, there's a lot of room to mess around with this one, but basically I believe it needs to be in a polar orbit in order for it to successfully scan the entire planet worth of ore. And you also need a transmitter. So if you're going to do this like for real, ideally you want to mine Minmus. It's probably the best bet. I'm sure it's possible to mine Duna as well, but you're going to want to put it in polar orbit with a transmitter, lots of power. Apparently it eats up a bunch of power. So that's why I kind of built it this way. But anyway, this is the ship. We're going to send it up to the Kermes now. Here we are. We have a day on Kerbin here, and we're just going to put on the orbital stats, vessel stats. Now, I was going to go and show you how I built this whole thing, but it was so convoluted, and I think when I built it I had a couple beers, so honestly I forget how I made it. But with that little tutorial that I just showed you inside the VAB, where I kind of went through it, you can kind of piece it together. You know, kind of, if you need to pause the video and look at it for a little bit, you can get the general idea. Or you could build a better one. I'm sure that this is not the most ideal design. It's just something I came up with. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Let's get this thing launched. I'm going to put it on 2/3 thrust because it is way overpowered. So here we go. The only thing that bothers me about this is that this is jutting way out and it's not balanced. So it does get a bit shaky. But that's nothing that we can't handle, right? So it looks like our 90 degree is straight down, which is interesting. I must have rotated it a bit. I'm just going to start pushing this way, and I'm also actually going to reduce the thrust because, look, we're going way too fast already. Way too fast. We'll get to around 2 Gs. We'll just keep pushing to the 90 degree. It does get a bit top heavy, especially at low thrusts in the beginning, so I'm going to avoid pushing too far because sometimes it tends to just nose all the way down. Don't really want that to happen. After these boosters separate, though, we'll be able to really start pushing it. So you can see, oh, there it goes. Oh, you son of a gun. Oh, god damn it. So that's the perils right there of having an unbalanced ship, as you can see. Not our best launch. Absolutely not. Oh, this is screwed. We're just gotta do that again. Ah, I love it. Gotta love this game. It does kind of challenge you in that regard. So again, I'm just gonna go 2/3, and this time I will not push as aggressively. I'll probably wait till the boosters separate before I start really pushing it. Like, I'll do a little bit right now, just a little bit, while we're still at 2/3. Because the problem, what actually happened was we lost the gimbals on these mainsails. That's what's really keeping us on the straight and narrow. It's the gimbaling ability. Once you start throttling down, you lose that thrust on the gimbals, and you end up with these really. Sure, they're powerful, but there's no gimbal on these, so if you need to steer, you really can't do it. So I'm just going to leave it at 1/3. I'm going to leave it right here. It's not the most efficient, but it'll do us. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to set the Kermes as the target. You think I have enough space junk floating around? Speaking of, oh, there's the Kermes right there. Yep, we're definitely a little behind it, alright. So it's going to be definitely an interesting rendezvous. I've totally forgot to set that as target and wait till it was in the proper position, but what are you going to do? It'll make it more interesting, right? Alright, let's go back up to 2/3. Now we can really start pushing this thing. Because we're already at 37, I'm just going to basically go down here. In fact, we can do this at like half thrust. There's just this thing is so overpowered, it's ridiculous. I don't know why I build them like that, because, you know, it's fun. It's fun to make them overpowered. I'd rather have too much thrust than not enough, you know what I mean? Alright, we'll let those go. And I might just pump it up to 2/3 now. And we're a little off the mark, so I'm just going to go to the left a little bit. Just to try to even that out. I'm also going to just keep her pushing. Just going to keep her pushing. Let's take a look at the map. Yes, we've got a great deal of speed to catch up on the Kermies. It's not going to be a pretty rendezvous. It's not going to be one of my best, that's for sure. It's going to be an interesting rendezvous. We're going to have to catch up. So what I might actually have to do is just stay on an inner orbit. Something like that. You can see here's a couple little test runs I did of the Eve probe, putting it in a polar orbit and just scanning Kerbin just to see what it looks like. Did a couple test runs. Alright, I'm just going to basically point flat at the horizon now and see what we get. Kermie says here. Yeah, we were way behind it. Way behind it. So let's see. Let's put a maneuver and let's see if we could somehow meet up with this thing. Somehow, right? We gotta somehow meet up with it. What I'm actually gonna do is, let's see, 75 will do. We'll come like way inside of its orbit and we'll just have to manually catch up. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but I think we can do it. So as long as we stay on the inside of it, we will be faster than it, and we will be able to catch up on it. Alright, we're in orbit now, so we're going to hit the 1 key, deploy our solar panels. What I'm also going to do is just point this thing down and eject this big clunky thing here. There we go. So much space junk, but at least this stuff will deorbit. At least it'll deorbit a little bit. Just get ourselves up to the node there, burn in about 7 seconds. Somebody asked a good question on one of my videos. They said, hey, why do you start your burn early? You know, it says estimated burn 14 seconds. Why would you not burn, you know, at 14 seconds? Which is a totally legitimate question. You have to figure that's the amount of thrust, that's the kind of burn you need to make. It's calculating like instantly. So since no burn takes an instant amount of time, you actually have to, what I like to do is burn on both sides of the node evenly. So let's say the node's here. Say it's going to take 30 seconds. Oops, why did I close that? Say it's going to take 30 seconds, right? So you want to burn equally 15 seconds on this side, 15 seconds on that side of the node, just so you get an even burn throughout the whole thing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but hopefully it does. I'm sure somebody else could explain it better. Ooh, we're not quite out of the soup. Let's just get it right to 70. There we go. And so what we'll do now is we are going to just warp ahead as fast as we can. And you'll notice these little tickers will start flicking closer to each other every time we make a cycle or an orbit. And since we are inside the orbit here, we're going to just be cutting a little faster. Because we're closer to the planet. It's basically going to sling us a little faster than the Kermies. Not by much, but a couple orbits. As you can see, we're already catching up. A couple more orbits, and we're going to be fairly close to it. It probably won't even take that much more time. But I'll make a little cut right here, and I'll wait till it's right about where we need to be. So here we are. We're catching up on it now, and it has flicked around. I think this is the closest it's going to get to 22 kilometers separation. It's not the greatest, but all things considered, and look at this, it's also, the Kermies is also on a slightly different inclination than us. Let's see, rendezvous. Relative inclination 1.13, so it's definitely different than our inclination, which is about 0.2. Because if you remember, the Kermies is in kind of like it's not in a perfect zeroed out inclination, because it did come back from Duna and it wasn't exactly right, so we'll have to just make a few corrections, but that's okay, we'll do that. This is a great little mod, by the way, the Flight Engineer. I don't think I could play this game without it. Like, literally, it's just that kind of mod. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just get this ship set up right now to make a rendezvous, because we are closing in on it. It's somewhere. Oh, there it is, right in front of us. Where is our anti-target reticle? That's what I need to find right now. There it is. Okay. So I need to push this onto that. That'll get us set up. We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it now. I get a lot of questions from people saying, you know, how do you get your rendezvous so close? You know, I launch at the right time that you do. And I think they get lost in this part of the trick right here. Now, I do have a video in my Kerbal Space Program Basic Tutorials playlist that does hopefully explain how to do these rendezvous just right. Basically, you have to understand what these little reticles mean. They each have a different meaning, and if you study them or look them up or watch my tutorial videos, you will absolutely learn how to do it. I guarantee it, because when I started playing this game, I was an absolute noob. Like, I don't know rocket science. Not even close, not a chance. But just by watching other videos and reading the forums and stuff, I was able to kind of figure it out. And once you actually learn it, it's quite intuitive. It makes a lot of sense once you figure it out. Now, I'm burning a little aggressively here because I have a lot of fuel to spare in this tank, and I'm not too worried about, you know, running out. So doing some aggressive maneuvers. Well, we didn't have as much as I thought we did, but we got enough for our purposes. Alright, so we're going to get this thing right down to 7. Just got to do a little push. Keep this lined up with that. It's really drifting on me, I guess because our orbits are so violently different. But just this act of lining that up should actually bring us much closer, or maybe not a whole lot closer. Still 7.9, which means we still have to make a burn on the target one more time. That's fine. Totally fine. Here we go. Let's just make a little thrust at it. There, that's good enough. Okay, anti-target, please. Getting right down to it. So we'll wait till we get about 0.7 or 700 meters. We're almost there. There's Minmus right there. Just twinkling the light there. Alright, so let's go ahead. We'll just keep pushing this thing. Go. It gets us even closer to 0.1. That's good. That's 100 meters away. That's like nothing. I might try to ditch this tank, although I'm scared that it'll smash into our ship. We don't want that to happen. That would be a disaster. That would be a bloody disaster, although at this point it looks like it's going to miss. Yes, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to eject these tanks now. See you later. Hopefully that doesn't go colliding into the Kermies. If it does, that would be a hilarious, hilarious outtake. Oh god, can you imagine that? At this point, it looks like it might, but I doubt it. I doubt that's gonna actually hit it. Just gonna try to keep pushing this onto here like this. There we go. So we should intersect basically at 0, which is exactly what we want. It is close though, isn't it? I basically fired a missile at it. Luckily it was off. Thank God. Thank the Kerbal gods. Alright, we are approaching it rapidly. We don't want to do another Hot Jupiter maneuver where I forget to slow down and barely miss. One of these days, just for fun, I might just smash into something just to relieve some stress or something. I'd imagine that could be pretty cool. We are flying in rapid speeds. Yeah, we're pretty much there. I want to get it nice and close, though, just so I don't have, I have a whole lot of maneuvering to do. About a ½ meter per second now. We're basically there. Not too shabby. Yeah, let's just totally kill it out. Just RCS it down to 0. There. Perfect. Alright. Let's point this thing normal. That means north. There's nothing normal about what I'm doing. And we're just going to tab over to the Kermies. Not that. Here we go. So what we got to do is we got to ditch this lander here. But the problem is there's no one driving it. So let's... Is this thing floating towards it? I can't tell if we're getting closer to it or what. Probably not. That's probably fine. Let's go ahead. We're going to right click. We're going to do transfer. We're going to take Hadme, put him in the lander can, and let's do a little disconnect here. So we're going to undock this first. All the parts, all right. And we're going to take this. We're just going to RCS it away, just a little bit. Just a little bit. I should have left this lander around Duna. Someone else commented that too. They said, hey, why don't you just leave the lander? And I said, you know what? You're right. Why didn't I just leave that? And I think what happened was I got a little sentimental about it. I was like, I should leave this, but I don't want to. Alright, and we're also going to undock this. There we go. Now, ideally, I should just take this thing and dump it into the ocean. Like, literally, I should just fire it off, let it go. But the problem is, it's not automated, and I have to have a crew in the ship. Oh, and there's also the problem of it doesn't have any engines anymore. So this is going to be a useless piece of space junk, essentially, is what this is going to be. Might as well take this thing and, like, I don't know, just jet it over, like... Ooh. It'd help if I had some RCS, wouldn't it? Ooh, we're getting awful close. Let's get away from it. Oh, okay, we're just gonna push this thing this way for a while, and he's gonna leave. We're just gonna leave it. We're just gonna leave it. It's just gonna float. Go free. Go free. Kermies lander. You're free now. You have no more obligations. We want to get back to the Kerbies, though, that's for sure. But go free, yon lander. You were a good lander. But now it's time to go. Maybe someday we'll meet up again in another episode. Maybe it'll become like a lifeboat one day. Who knows? Maybe some disaster will happen and it'll be the only thing floating by, and we'll have to make an emergency rendezvous and take the fuel out of it, and it'll save our lives someday. But until then, It'll just be a lonely satellite, a derelict satellite from the past, floating around forever around this gorgeous planet here. Anyway, I'm waxing poetic. It's this game's fault. I always seem to wax poetic when I play this game. No other game really does that to me. I don't know. Something about this game. Something about it. That's why I'll never quit. I've got a lot of comments from people saying, hey, you know, I miss your Kerbal videos. I'm upset that you're not playing Kerbal anymore. And I always think, you know, I'll never stop playing Kerbal. I mean, come on. I may take like breaks from it and play other games, but I'll never stop playing this game. It's just too awesome. And there it goes. Just there it is, floating away from us. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to dock this thing up to here like this. Here it is. So we will set this old Clampertron as the target. I'm going to go under it a bit. I'm also going to put this into locked view, is the new cool docking mode. Forget chase view, that's stupid. we're all about locked view now. So we're going to have to go down and left to meet up with it. "19 meters away." She is a weird probe. I don't know what I was thinking. It was the beer, I tell you. Blame everything on the beer. Alright, so we're just gonna... Oh, it looks like we're heading in towards the dark side. We better hurry up. I don't think I put any lights on this thing. Oh, the Kermes has lights, though. Thank God I did that. We don't want to smash into that. Although this again, is going to have to be derelict space junk as well. Although we can crash this into the planet because it's automated. And the reason I say that is because it has no fuel. It's really basically useless to us. Maybe I'll leave it around just in case I need to dock with it. Again, you know, you don't want to leave yourself any room there. You want to make sure you have some kind of emergency fuel left over somewhere in case you know some emergency might happen. You might need to dock with something real quick. All right, we're plenty of clearance over here. I'm just gonna start counteracting our maneuver here, pushing this way. Oh, are we gonna miss it? Oh God, are we gonna miss it? Oh, yeah, we're fine. It just looked like we were about to bite the bullet. Alright, we gotta go up, 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 up. And this way a little bit, and then a little more up. According to this nav ball, we're good. I don't always trust the nav ball though. I like to just eyeball it. Eyeball, nav balls. Oh, what's the difference? They're all balls, right? Ooh, and the last bit of sunlight puts us into darkness. And now, ironically, I can't trust my eyeballs anymore. It'll have to be the nav ball. You gotta pick a ball. If you had to pick a ball, I guess you should pick the nav ball. Alright, I'll stop with the ball jokes now. That should be it. Oh, look at that. Not too shabby, I say. Only problem is we're probably not balanced with our solar panels. Yeah, we'll have to fix that. I'll have to fix that for sure. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave the service module down here. In fact, I might just give it a little nudge away from everything. Sorry, service module. You were a good service module. There's a lot of fuel left in it, so I'm just gonna leave it for sure. No doubt about it. Alright. Use the button I want to press. Alright, there we go. There's a good ship right there. Not too bad. So the only thing we gotta do now is just launch up another service module. Let's do that. So we want to load in the Duna SM service module. There it is. It's kind of a weird launch vessel. I'm gonna just change this a little bit. I like these things a little better. They look cooler. Now, is there anything I want to change about this that I didn't like? Yes, I want to put radiators on it. Thank you for reminding me, YouTube. Radiators are now your best friend in Kerbal Space Program. I'm going to put the mediums on, I think. Mediums should do the trick. Just got to figure out where. Probably I'm going to replace... Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get these out of here. And I'm going to throw these bad boys on. Just 2 of them, methinks. Apparently you need these things now. I don't friggin' know. I never... I never, you know, felt the need to put them on. Maybe small. Maybe small will be fine. I don't think we really need to go nutso with this. That should probably be fine. I mean, honestly, I've never had to use them. But then again, I never did anything extensive. Like there's only one engine that barely overheats, and I never went to the sun. I haven't done any mining yet, so, you know, it's fine. It's all fine. I'm going to make this custom 1 as well. Toggle radiator. There we go. And actually what I might do as well, let's see, think. Put this, yeah, we'll do that like that, and we should also just add just a couple panels, you know, because I feel like, you know, when we're going through the atmosphere, we can't have these things toggled, as it were. So we'll just have these extra sets that don't need to be extended, and maybe that'll help, you know, mitigate some of the heat as well. Do I want to put them on these things? Maybe we'll put them over here. Don't worry, I'll replace the solar panels. Yeah, let's just put a couple radiators here. You never know, might need them for re-entry, especially around Eve. Eve's a bitch. So I'll just say it. Eve is quite the bitch. So we'll just do something like this, just so we keep that nice solar energy in case some horrible accident happens and knocks all our solar panels off. We do have some around here. That should be okay. Yeah, that should be fine. This is kind of ridiculous, but I couldn't figure out a different way to do it, so we're going to go with that. I don't like this either, unless I put some kind of... Yeah, I'm going to take these off, and what I'm going to do instead... Maybe go with something like this. This seems like a little better option. Okay. So this will be the drive unit for our Kermes craft. The Kermes Eve edition, that is. Let's go ahead and launch. So this time I will certainly set the come on, where are you? There's so much space junk. Somebody else commented, or like, dude, clear your friggin' space junk. It's like, I like made some like stupid comment like, oh, it's fucking hilarious, but I probably should get rid of some of this junk. I mean, look at this. I can't even select any targets. Or should I keep all the debris and just because it's hilarious and make a Kerbal syndrome? I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave a comment. So this time I'm going to actually wait until the Kermes swings around to an appropriate spot. Probably right around here. Look at all this space junk. Oh my god, it's a miracle that there hasn't been some sort of gravity disaster. I mean, like the movie Gravity. If you haven't seen that movie, it's basically Sandra Bullock and George Clooney getting space debris slammed at them at high velocities. We'll do right about there. Yep, that should do us. Okay. Let's launch. Here we go. I probably won't show too much of this launch, just because you've already seen many launches before, and this video is getting a little bit long, so I might just make a few cuts and come back to you when we're basically ready to rendezvous. That's cute. That's funny. In there. Well, you've got to be shitting me. This thing isn't docking together. This thing's not going to dock together. You've got to be shitting me. You've got to be actually shitting me. So it seems to have made a fatal design flaw. The service module can't dock with the Eve probe because my engines are in the way. So you know what we do to useless pieces of equipment, don't you? Oh yeah. You know exactly what we do to useless pieces of equipment. I'll show you what we do. Oh, where's my retrograde marker? We fire violently retrograde, and we try again. Let's see. Make sure we don't smash into anything. See you later, guys. This is what we do to useless pieces of equipment. We violently re-enter them. Man, I thought that was going so well, too. Fatal design flaw. These engines were too far forward, and it collided with the ship trying to dock with it. So, it's fireball time. Oh, here we go. This is the part. I'm gonna get some kind of sick satisfaction in watching this thing explode, which it sure is, either by the rigors of re-entry or by smashing into the ground at high velocities. Well, this thing's going down. This thing is going down. Come on, baby. Oh yeah. Come on, give me those overheating signs here. I can't believe the solar panels are still intact. Here we go, the first of the overheaters. Looks like the solar panel is going to explode first. I can't believe it hasn't exploded earlier. This is just absurd. I guess because there's not much air yet. Oh, there it goes. Come on, baby, blow up. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to turn off the SAS and let it tumble. I'm just going to let it do whatever it's got to do. I'm astounded that this thing hasn't just completely obliterated. I guess that goes to show you, you don't really need a heat shield in this game, do you? I mean, I'm playing on moderate difficulty, too. It's not even like I'm playing on normal. It's on moderate. And here we come flying in. Looks like we're going to hit the mountains at high speeds. Oh, yeah. I have parachutes. I could stop this thing from blowing up, but where's the fun in that? Where is the fun in that, I ask you? This is going to be a scientific experiment. See what happens when immensely expensive piece of equipment smashes into side of the hill. Look at these mountains. Oh yeah, here we go. Here it comes. Ooh! Anything survive? Absolutely not. Everything is completely destroyed. Well, I think it's a good place to end the episode here. Oh god, what an episode. Sorry about that little failure at the end, guys, but in the next episode we're going to successfully relaunch the the Eve probe and reconnect the service module. So until then, happy Kerbaling, and I'll see you there.